The MTSU Mineral, Gem, and Fossil Museum serves as both a teaching lab for earth science classes and a learning experience for the general public. Most visitors from outside of the university are school groups from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades.
We get homeschool groups coming fairly often. We get some of the elementary schools in the area coming. We've had one school, College Grove School, has come every year since we've opened. Kids love the dinosaur. It's been a big hit since we put it in. And you can see they're crawling all over the thing. The Allosaurus is only about 1/3 of what a full-size one would be. Well, it all started with really two things. There was a family, Ernest and Onsby Hammonds, and they lived kind of in southern Middle Tennessee, and they were fossil collectors. And they collected their whole life. And then once they got elderly and were no longer collecting anymore, they wanted to share their fossil collection. And so they donated the whole fossil collection to the geoscience department at MTSU with the condition that it has to be on display and shared with the public. And so we had some of the stuff on display in the department and along the hallways where we usually teach the classrooms and stuff. Then Dr. Ogden, one of the professors here, who has a pretty extensive mineral collection, got together with another retired faculty, Dr. Bourdine, and they came up with the idea of creating their own museum based on, initially, the Hammonds fossil collection and Dr. Ogden's mineral collection. And that's kind of how it got started, and they gave us this room to put the museum in. And when it first opened, it had pretty much that, the Hammonds collection and Dr. Ogden's mineral collection, and there is a Gem and Mineral Society here in Murfreesboro, and the Gem and Mineral Society loaned us a lot of stuff to put on display too.
The museum is open to the public on Saturdays from 1 to 5 p.m., and admission is free. With samples from every state in our country and from over 50 countries, the museum is a must-see for any aspiring geologist. There are scavenger hunts available for children, so ensure a visit to this hidden jewel at MTSU. Throughout the year, the MTSU community is privileged to have distinguished guests come to campus to speak to students and faculty. The university culture is constantly enriched with a steady diet of diverse insights, thought-provoking perspectives, and challenging ideas. During March, the campus welcomed world-renowned banjoist Bela Fleck, who performed for an appreciative audience and told of his journey to Africa to explore the little-known African roots of the banjo.
When I grew up in New York City, I had no tie to the banjo, no tie to folk music, no tie to the South, nothing like that. But that sound was just one of those things, turning points in my life.
Social psychologist Dr. Gary Namie, nationally known expert on the subject of bullying, met with 3 classes during the day, then addressed a larger audience later in the evening. Namie lobbies around the country for more stringent anti-bullying laws.
And in its most severe and egregious forms, it is abusive, over-the-top, health-harming violence.
For those old enough to remember the turbulent 60s and 70s, the name Angela Davis evokes a full spectrum of emotions. The social activist, author, and lecturer delivered the keynote address to a packed house during MTSU's National Women's History Month.
It was 1913 when a committee of faculty and students chose blue and white as the school colors. One of the students on that committee, by the way, was Q.M. Smith, who would later become president of MTSC from 1938 to 1958. In the early years, the athletic teams had no official nickname. Sports teams played under the name of teachers, normals, normalites, even the pedagogs, alluding to the school's function as a state teachers' college. The current nickname came about in 1934 as the result of a contest in the Daily News Journal. A football player, Charles Sarver, won $5 with his winning entry, Blue Raiders. Sarver said he had borrowed the name from Colgate University, whose team was known as the Red Raiders at that time. It took a while to figure out how to represent the Blue Raiders, and for a time the school's mascot was a student dressed as Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest. By the late 1960s, however, it was apparent that such an image was offensive to many people. That controversial figure was dropped in favor of an unofficial mascot, a blue tick hound, known affectionately as Old Blue. In 1996, there was a call for a new mascot to reflect the university's upgrade to Division 1A football. In January 1998, Lightning was introduced to fans during a basketball halftime. Charles Sarver was there to join the celebration.
Join us in celebrating 100 years of MTSU history. Check out the Centennial timeline at mtsu.edu/Centennial.